Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So continue the video on the list operation in Prolog, and today we'll start with adding an item to a list, that is the add operation. So to add an item X to a list L, it means to make X the new head of the list, and I want to believe you know what we mean when we say the head of a list. So this is a notation for the head and the tail of a list. We have a list here, so X is the list, the head. Then we'll have a symbol, the vertical bar. Then we have the list, which is the tail of the list. So it is denoted, the add operation is denoted by add X, that is the item we want to add, then list, the list we want to add the item X to, then the new list that will be generated, which X, the new item, will be the head of the list, and L, that is the list that we are adding item X to, that will be the tail of the new list. So we have an example. We have add and we have some color. We have red, that is the new item we want to add. Then we have a list, green, blue, and we have the variable, that is the list that we want to generate, the new list that we want to create. So we want to add red to the list, green, blue, to generate a new color. So we have color equals red, that is the new item. The new item has become the head of the list, so red. Then green, blue, that is the list, the previous list, which has now become the tail of the new list. So that is it for the add operation. So now we have the delete operation. Deleting an item from a list, the delete operation removes the specified item from a given list. It takes three arguments: the item, that is the item we want to remove, the list where the item is to be removed, and the new list where the remaining items are stored, that is the new list that will be generated after removing the item. So it is denoted by del X, that is the item we want to remove, L, the list where we want to remove the item, and L1, the newly generated list after removing the item X. So if X is the head of the list, then L1 will be, that is the remaining list, will be the tail of the list. If X is in the tail of the list, that is the X, the item that I want to remove from the list, if it is in the tail of the list, then it will be removed from the tail, and then the remaining list would be given back, that is L1 will equals to a list with a new tail that doesn't include the X, that is the item would be removed from the tail, and then whatever item is the head before will be the head, then the remaining list in the tail will be given back. Then we have an example here. We have del book, we have some items, we have some material here. So in the list of the material we have book, pen, ruler, pencil. Now if we check here, we want to remove the item book from this list, and if we check the list, we will see that book is the head of the list. So when we remove book from the list, that is when we remove the book which is the head of the list from this particular list, that means the new material, which is the new list that will be generated, the book which is the head, will be removed. Then we have a new head. Then the tail of this list is now returned as the new list. The tail of the previous list is now returned as the new list. So we have pen, ruler, pencil. It has removed the book, which is the previous head of the list. Now we have another example, del book. We want to remove book. We have pen as the head of the list, ruler, book, pencil. So ruler, book, and pencil are the list which is the tail. That is, ruler, book, and pencil are the tail of this particular list right here. Now book is not the head, pen is the head here. So book is part of the tail, that is the part of the tail of the list. So then book will be removed from here, it will be removed from the tail. So now the new material, which is the new list, will be pen, ruler, pencil. Pen, the head, it will be returned, since it's not the book, that the item that I want to remove is not the head, so the pen is returned. Then book, the item that I want to remove, which is part of the tail, is now removed. Then it gives us the new tail, which is ruler, pencil. Then we have the material, pen, ruler, and pencil. So that is that for delete. And I have another example right here. So in the Prolog environment that I'm using, select is the same thing as del. That is, the select operation is used just as equivalent to the delete operation. So select, green, red, green, blue, and the list. Now I said something in the previous video that the result of the Prolog, that is the result of the query, depends on the argument that we pass to our operation. The query, if you check here now, the argument, that is the variable rather, is the L. So the variable L is what will be the result. The variable L is what we don't know yet, so that will be what Prolog will provide answer to. Now we have green. We want to remove green from this list. We have the list red, green, blue. So green is not the head, red is the head, but green is part of the tail, green, blue. So now when we remove green from the tail, what remain will be red and blue. So what remain of the list will be red and blue. Then another example, select green. We want to remove green from the list. We don't actually know the list where we want to remove green just yet. Now what is remained? It remains red and blue. So if we check here, we know that when we remove an item from a list, if that item is the head of the list, what will remain will be the tail of that list. Now if we check this one, this is the tail of that list. That is what remains, meaning our list that we want to remove green from, it will have green as the head, then red and blue will be the tail. And if you check the answer, the green now is the head of the tail, is the head of the list rather, and then red, blue is the tail of the list. So that is the answer is actually based on the variable. In the first example, the list L, the variable, is the remaining list, the resulting list after deleting the green. And in the second example, the variable L is actually the list where we are removing an item. The list where we are removing an item. So we don't know the list just yet. Now after we remove green from the list, we are given red and blue. Meaning, if we haven't actually removed green from the list, we will have something like green, red, and blue. So that's why we have green, red, and blue. Now for the last example, we have select, green. Also we are given L as the variable, that is the list where we want to remove an item. That's the variable. We don't know the list just yet. So green, red, blue is the tail of the list. So green, red, blue is the tail of the list. So now when we remove green from the list, it gives us this remaining list, which is the tail. Meaning, if we haven't actually removed green from the list, this green will be the head of the list, then green, red, blue will be the remaining tail. Now if we check the answer, Prolog says after we have removed it, if we haven't actually removed green from the list would be green, then the tail green, red, blue. That is, the first green will be the head, then green, red, blue will be the tail. So that is it for this particular video, and we will be ending the list operation here in this video. Thank you everyone.